disturbed now than I was before that the 16 September explanation about how 4 Americans died in Benghazi, Libya by Ambassador Rice, I think does not do justice to the reality at the time, and in hindsight clearly was completely wrong.
There are no unanswered questions about Ambassador Rice's appearance on Sunday shows and the talking points that she used for those appearances that were provided by the intelligence community.
President Obama said when he was running for president that he would refocus our efforts and attentions on al-Qaeda. We've decimated al-Qaeda. Osama bin Laden is gone. We have decimated al-Qaeda. Osama bin Laden is dead.
She said that al-Qaeda was decimated in both of those interviews. So that, of course, was a misleading impression to the American people about what happened at the consulate. It's absurd to me to think that you would omit the reference of al-Qaeda. What, so we didn't want to tip al-Qaeda off? And particularly since it's very important that the American people not be left a misleading impression, which is what happened here.
Charles.
Well, I think that's rather damning, the fact that, first of all, they pretend that the only thing changed was removal of the word al-Qaeda, which you could excuse as just trying to be less specific. And nobody buys their explanation that you didn't want to warn al-Qaeda that we are after them. But now when you see on the tape, as you show, that she was actually stressing on the 5 shows that we had defeated al-Qaeda, had decimated it, knowing that she knew the word was taken out. So she knows this was an al-Qaeda affiliated attack. And at the same time she says al-Qaeda is on the run. That's a campaign proposition that she would have known at the time is not true. Second, the statement issued by the 3 senators emphasizes there are 3 scandals here, the before, the during, and the after. Why wasn't the embassy secured? What happened during the 7 hours? Where was the president? Why wasn't there help? And then the after, all of this deception. I think it's important to emphasize that, because people will say, well, why are you obsessing over what was in the talking points? But when you look at what was in the talking points, and you hear the White House say there are no unanswered questions, as you pointed out, just today, the acting CIA director says, at one point in the day, FBI is the one who removed that reference. 6 hours later, it turns out it isn't true. This is just a new change of story that's happening now, 2 months later. So I think it is very clear that what she said still needs to be explained. And the irony is it's Obama who will keep it alive, I think. If he nominates her, that will keep the story alive. Otherwise, I think the mainstream media would walk away instantly, now that the sex scandal attached is less interesting.
There are some, Charles, who say that Benghazi is not a story. It's a non-story. CNN has a new poll out in the handling of Benghazi attack. 40% satisfied, 54% dissatisfied. This is a new poll over the past few days. And then the statements about the Benghazi attack from the administration. Attempt to mislead, 40%. Based on available information, 54%. It's obviously not a majority there, but still 40%.
We're talking about the murder of a U.S. ambassador, first time in 3 decades. We are talking about the death of 4 Americans on the foreign soil who were essentially unprotected. We are talking about the sacking of a U.S. embassy. And after all the bravado of this administration, we're going to track them down, justice and all this. Not a word. There's one guy held in Tunisia that it took the letter of a senator to get U.S. access to, because apparently the administration wasn't interested enough to ask anybody on its own. This is a major event. I think the 4th scandal is that the media are not interested. I can understand it before the election, because they didn't want to do anything that would hurt Obama's re-election. His election's over. There was no interest. He had a sex scandal attached. It looked salacious. And now that that's faded away, the one way it'll be kept alive is the Susan Rice nomination, if she's nominated.
Down the road, is she nominated?
Probably yes, but the real interest in that is not who gets nominated or appointed. It's that it will highlight the scandal which is being otherwise ignored.
Let me suggest that if the president wants a solution to the challenges of the moment, the people he needs to be talking to, the members of his own party, so he can convince them of the need to act.
We are all here, those of us in the administration and those who have been elected to Congress, to serve the American people. So to suggest that we should, now that the election's over, stop talking to them about these vital issues, I think is bad advice.
One prominent Democrat did talk about entitlement issues back in 2010 pretty extensively.
The major driver of our long-term liabilities, everybody here knows, is Medicare and Medicaid and our health care spending. Nothing comes close. Social Security we could probably fix the same way Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan sat down together and they could figure something out. That is manageable. Medicare and Medicaid, massive problem down the road. That's going to be what our children have to worry about.
Interesting op-ed today in the Wall Street Journal by Bill Archer and Chris Cox, former congressmen, saying that the real outlay is $86 trillion of unfunded liabilities, obligations, when you include all of the federal government, what it owes. That's obviously dwarfs the $16 trillion in debt that we hold.
Which raises the question, why are Republicans allowing the entire debate to be about taxes and about the war among Republicans over holding a line on the Norquist pledge or not, when what Obama is proposing on raising the rate on the 2% is a triviality. It will reduce the deficit from 1.1 trillion to 1.10 trillion to 1.02 trillion. 8 cents on the dollar. It is nothing. It's lunch money. It's a rounding error. And yet that's all the debate that we're hearing. Obama understands this. He's not trying to fix our fiscal issues and problems. He's trying to destroy the Republicans by insisting that there is a split among the Republicans on this issue, which has held them together the same way it destroyed President Bush Sr. when he went back on the pledge he made. This is a political attack on Republicans. There is no evidence right now that he has any interest in the real fiscal issue, because he would have to talk about spending and entitlements, and he isn't.
I think he will. He was willing to raise the Medicare retirement age to 67 when he talked to John Boehner. He was willing to change the formula on Social Security. Those things will come back and be part of a final deal. They'll have to be.
If he's so willing, why did he never say it in public?
This has been a Sunfish production.